Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. There was a big to-do on social media about this interview that Miley Cyrus did about a week ago. And a lot of black people were upset about Miley Cyrus making some statements that were racist towards black people. And when I heard these statements, I pretty much wasn't surprised because when it comes down to your white female, I know that she's the biggest racist in the room. And what your Miley Cyrus is doing is she's pretty much showing her true colors in the same fashion that many other white people do when they get their cool points and they establish an audience that pretty much takes them to the mainstream. Because when it comes down to many of these lower seated white celebrities, they often use the Afro-American Negro audience as a springboard to take themselves up to the next level, in the same way biracial celebrities like your Jesse Williams use the Afro-American Negro audience to take themselves up to the next level. You see, when it comes down to the Afro-American Negro, he is the biggest pawn in the room. And he's the biggest pawn in the room because he pretty much has such low self-esteem, and she has such low self-esteem, that they will go crazy over any attention a white person gives them. And because a white person is paying them some attention, they start to think that they have some sort of worth or value because somebody like a Miley Cyrus is paying them attention and is paying attention to their culture, but when in actuality, they are just using this Afro-American Negro to build a base of customers for themselves and an audience for themselves to use as a springboard to take their careers to the next level. And when it comes down to your Miley Cyrus, she pretty much has used this Afro-American Negro to take herself to the next level. And now that she feels that she is on a level that she can pretty much move herself ahead towards a mainstream white audience, what she is doing is she's going to discard the Afro-American Negro and move ahead to the mainstream and discard this Negro and leave them right where they found them. Because now, she now has her street cred, she now has her I'm not a racist card, and now she feels I don't need this Negro anymore. What your Miley Cyrus did is no different than what your Vanilla Ice did, your Justin Timberlake did, your Marky Mark has done, your Donnie Wahlberg has done, and many others like Joey Lawrence and your Robin Thicke have done over the years. What they did was, once they saw that their white audience was declining, they ran over to the black audience, and they know that the Negro will pretty much take any attention from white people, and they'll get involved with anyone who will pay them the least bit of attention, and they'll think that this white person is a cool white person, and they'll think that this person isn't a racist white person. But what these white folks are doing is they're using this Negro as a springboard towards rebuilding their careers or building their careers. And then once they build their careers at the expense of this Afro-American Negro, they then discard this Afro-American Negro. And the saddest part is about this whole Miley Cyrus situation is that the Negro continues to fall for the same okie dokes again and again, thinking that this white person's attention means that this person values them. Instead of saying, look, why is this person coming to me? What are they hoping to get out of it? And why should I care if this person gets involved with me? Moreover, they should be thinking, what are they trying to get out of me by getting involved with me? Because whenever you think about a celebrity like a Miley Cyrus who has had her own television show, they should have been asking themselves a question, well, why didn't you try to bring some black people on your show then? Why do you want to be cool with us now? Because when she had the Hannah Montana show, and I've watched many episodes of it on YouTube and on Channel 7 when it was on, you never saw any Afro-American Negroes on that show. No, you didn't see no Negroes on that show. And you never saw any black people saying, hey, why aren't there any black people on Hannah Montana? But then all of a sudden, when your Hannah Montana is over and she wants to have a career, all of a sudden she's acting crazy, and then she's hanging out with the Negro. Basically slapping the Negro in the face by saying that I'm going to get down and dirty with these Negroes and try to do things to get attention by being around these savages, and then going out here, and then once she gets her street cred and her popularity up, she then wants to come back over to the mainstream. And then once she goes to the mainstream, she decides, like your Marky Mark, like your Robin Thicke, like your Vanilla Ice, and many others, she's going to change her image because this is par for the course when it comes down to cool white people in Hollywood. They change their image once they get their audience established and they get their numbers up and their Q rating up. Then they want to become the clean cut person. They're all slutting it up and being a player and stuff in the black community. But then when it comes down to being Mr. White Bread, they clean their image up, talk about how that was just a phase in their life, and they spin it a certain way, and then all of a sudden they go back to being Mr. or Mrs. Clean Cut. But you can't tell this to the Afro-American Negro because your Afro-American Negro is spellbound. And they're so spellbound that whenever a white person comes to them to pay them some attention, they pretty much lose their minds because they think attention from a white person is the same as getting attention from God. And in some ways, it is like God because these Negroes pretty much deify white people like God. And when it comes down to this Afro-American Negro male, whenever he sees a white woman, it's like being in the presence of God herself. Because, again, the social hierarchies, when it comes down to this Afro-American Negro, this white female is God to him. And the fact that he got attention from your Miley Cyrus was like getting attention from God. Now, the rest of us look at her as a low-seated, C-list, wannabe actress and wannabe musician because we see her objectively. But your Afro-American Negroes saw it like getting attention from God, and now they're upset because God has forsaken them in the exact same way that God pretty much has forsaken him in his own community. Because, again, many of these Negroes, they have two gods, the white woman and the black woman. So this was like getting forsaken by God and getting rejected by God. And that's why many of these Afro-American Negroes are upset. Yes, your Miley Cyrus is a racist. Yes, your Miley Cyrus is an imbecile. But she's pretty much using the same playbook that many white women have used to pretty much take advantage of the black community and enrich themselves at the expense of the black community. Unfortunately, when it comes down to this Negro, they never take a look at things and ask critical questions and say, look, why is she coming here and what does she want from us? And why should we pay attention to her when she has never paid attention to us in the early stages of her career? Why should we be a part of her when she's trying to have this hypersexualized, nasty image, but she wasn't coming to us to help clean up the image of black people on shows like Hannah Montana? Because when she had the Hannah Montana show with Disney, her father and her family were not making efforts to help bring black people on the show to present positive images of black people. So that pretty much showed that this female was racist from day one because she only wanted to be down with these street Negroes, these ghetto Negroes. She wanted to present old stereotypes about black people. But the Negro could not see things because all he saw was white skin and blue eyes and the attention of a white person, instead of saying, look, we don't need that type of attention and we don't want your approval because you aren't valuable to us. We value ourselves. And we value ourselves to the point where we see somebody like you who's a wannabe and is trying to get cool points with us so you can go back and be cool with your white friends. So if that's the case, you can go on your way and be the washed up person that you are. And this is what happens when it comes down to these white females. They want their street cred and then they want to go back to the white community and play like they're sweet and innocent. And Miley Cyrus is par for the course. And nobody calls out these white women again because when it comes down to this Afro-American Negro, he pretty much hates the white man, but he deifies and worships the white woman. So he'll give her a pass because he hopes that by giving her a pass for her dysfunctional behavior and the pretty much misrepresentation of black people, that he'll get a chance to get some atomic waste from a creamy white girl with blue eyes and blonde hair. That's one of the reasons why they didn't really call out your Miley Cyrus. And that's why they don't call out many other racist white women, because many of these Afro-American Negroes want to get a relationship with white women, and they're spellbound because they think they got a shot at it, so they won't call her out. But there is a good group of black men out here who will call a female like this out, and they will hold her accountable because they understand that this white female is not acting in their best interest, and she's looking to exploit this Afro-American Negro at his own expense. And that's what your Miley Cyrus is pretty much doing. And now that she's gotten her credit, now she's back on top as she wants to be, now she's ready to throw the Afro-American Negro community under the bus and pretty much move on with her career. There's nothing new here. Unfortunately, what the Afro-American black community needs to do at this point is they need to start closing ranks and start saying, look, you're not coming here with this. You want to bring that mess to us. We're not even interested. We're not paying you any attention. And let chicks like Miley Cyrus hit the wall. Because when it comes down to these females like this, that's all you need to do. And once you do that, you won't have to deal with all these type of controversies or all this drama, because they'll have to go back to their own community and work on doing things like having actual talent, because only no talents need to use the Afro-American Negro community to try to move themselves up at their own expense. People with real talent go out here and they just pretty much put their talent out there, and that's what sells them. And only low seed, no talent white women like your Miley Cyrus have to use the street cred to move themselves up to the next level. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.